No, what you just said was something I've been wrestling with as well because I was watching all the debates about Second Amendment. People talk about like what was that dude's name? Ian, what's his name? Ian Land. What's that guy? The rebirth democracy dude. What was his name again?
Oh, Liam Madden.
Liam. When he was talking
That
about
Oh,
like
that
I
guy.
should be the
Good lord.
person. When he was saying who should tell people who could have a rifle and who couldn't and blah 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 blah. Like he was like someone like
It's
him,
going to be up to
the
you.
state.
Okay, Bo. Yeah. All right.
yeah,
Right,
the
but
state.
Yeah.
but check it out, right? But here's the part that really gets me, and I tell people this, I ask them like all the time when they say, "Oh, the government." I believe in some laws. I'm like, well, do you think the government? Do you trust the government? No. Then why would you give them the right to modulate what you could use to potentially have to resist them? Does that make a lot of sense? And people talk about the Second Amendment and the militia and all those sorts of conversations. Here's the problem with that. God-given rights, right? That's the whole point of the rights in the first place. These are God-given, regardless of what you believe. It means we had them from birth, right? They
Yeah,
pre-exist
they
everything,
pre-exist
right?
Yes.
government.
These are natural. We have what Erica says negative,
Natural rights.
but we have a negative rights bill, which means basically we're talking about what the government cannot do against our
You have
pre-existing
rights
rights.
against law. Yes.
They are not
Correct.
granting us the rights to the Second Amendment. We already had that. So if that's the case, what does a militia have to do with a right that pre-exists the government itself? How can you say it can only use this weapon in the service or at the behest of a militia when the rights, by their very definition, are God given and have to pre-exist
Precede
the militia and the
militia.
government?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly. That's
It doesn't make
is-
any
It's a
sense.
fantastic point, but you're right, and folks don't care to think about it like that. And it's funny you bring up that militia argument. Is you hear that from the other side, and it always gets rolled out different depending on what they're talking to. You have a right to own a gun, but only in a militia. And oh, by the way, we passed a bill that says militias aren't allowed to exist in Vermont this year. So like how stupid do you think we are, man?
That's pretty slick.
they think we're really stupid.
That's pretty
they
slick,
really
though.
think that we're stupid.
Yeah.
What?
They
Oh
they,
my
they don't. I
gosh.
don't think they think we're stupid. I think they think we just won't do anything.
I think we're
Like
lazy.
they Vermonters. This is what a lady that I know from a different group of folks, that a different nonprofit that I work with. Her words specifically were, because she's from Virginia. She said, Vermonters are uniquely willing to be tyrannized.
Ooh, ooh, oh, that's
Ooh.
yeah. That's
That's
Because
That's a clip.
for
people
for
will
such-
not show up, because people will not show up to defend their rights.
It-
They just don't show up.
that-
They don't participate.
That is so crazy spot on. It's just not even funny. I mean, for such an independent, like, cantankerous bunch of people up here. I mean, we just like I swear. I mean, empathy is killing the gun rights movement in Vermont, because a lot of these folks are just heck, they're just going to keep coming in there. Whatever. I'm not going to listen to them
Yeah.
anyway. Well, it's maybe you won't, but by the time your kids are old enough to realize, they're not going to know that you ever even had these rights. They're not going to know that you could go to your neighbor's house and sell a hunting rifle across the kitchen table, and that's normal.
Yeah.
You used to be able to buy a Thompson submachine gun from the Sears and Roebuck catalog, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like your grandparents could do that, and if you mention that to
Yes.
people now, they go, "Oh my God, are you out of your mind?" But that's the progressive. Creeping, control that they just it's like death by paper cut, just one little
But-
bit at a time. So
But there, I want to circle back to something because it's related to what I'm seeing in the comments here as well. One thing I always think about when people talk about gun rights is we're going to ban all guns, and I'm like, well, okay, let's just say you even planned on doing that. What are you going to do about the border? See, gun runners are still going to cross a gun runner is a job. I don't think people understand that that's like an actual thing. You need to watch
that's
some
not
more.
just like it's something that they
Yeah,
call people in
It's
movies.
it's a whole thing.
And-
Go watch some Sons of Anarchy if you need some education.
And you guys
People
have
run
a
guns.
unique perspective on that, being from Texas. Like up in Vermont, like nobody knows anything about the border up here. They're like, there's a border. You know, we think you're talking about
Which we have a border.
right? You know, we think you're talking
We're
about
a border
we think
state.
you're talking about
Like,
Canada.
oh my
I mean, you're like there are Canadians coming down here. I tell you what.
But here's the thing. But the thing about all that is that whenever people say, I'm like, great, well, how do you feel about closing borders? You can't have an open border and then black market weapons. The criminals are just going to buy the guns from people who cross the border. That's all that's going to happen because it's a new market for them to sell. Like
Yep.
that's a common sense.
There's a saying I read the other day, and I wish I could find the quote to see who said it, but it was something about when goods and money can't cross borders, eventually armies will.
Ooh.
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 It's, you know.
Oh, appreciate that, Brian.
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay, so Eric, so let me ground us back down here a little bit.
No. I'm sorry. Wait. I'm sorry. I wanted to bring it back to something you said. I'm sorry. So that whole thing we're talking about, not enforcing border laws would interfere with their ability to do all the gun stuff. Not to mention whether or not all this gun stuff they're trying to pass is constitutional, which it's not. Which brings us back to what Brian Albrader says. The Constitution requires both concrete action and intent to betray the nation before a citizen can be convicted of treason. Expressing traitorous thoughts or intentions alone does not suffice. And we're not even getting into Lysander Spooner. There is no treason.
Right.
We're not even going to go there. We're going to play by their rules. Even by their rules, this is what the deal is. However, when you look at the definitions of sedition and treason, and you look at what the Democrats and what some of the progressive people are trying to do, I think that some of what they're trying to do actually
Could it be
Qualifies.
seditious?
Kind of skirts the line, doesn't it? I love the Lysander
Well,
Spooner reference too. By the way, that's awesome. I never get somebody that knows who that is.
that was when I started.
Yeah.
I was like, when did I agree to this? What is this? Yeah, that's a deep
those
cut,
of you
folks.
guys who are not, for all our libertarian folks out there, anybody looking for a really interesting read to blow your mind about the Constitution, about self-ownership, about consent and consent of the governed, stuff like that, go nerd out on some Lysander Spooner.
But sedition, two of the definitions, sedition I'm reading say forcefully oppose government authority, preventing, hindering, or delaying the execution of any law of the U.S. You mean our constitutional rights? You mean the actual border laws and immigration laws that already exist? 3, the other version had was seize, take, or possess any U.S. property contrary to its laws. You mean Oregon? You mean what is it?
New
Portland?
Mexico.
No. These places where they had what were those? The Chazes, the occupied zones. How was that not sedition?
Yeah, the story.
Oh, that's
Were they brought up on
interesting.
sedition charges?
No, you know they were not.
Okay.